Imagine a giraffe standing quietly at the edge of the trees. A human appears in the distance, the giraffe looks down, and for a moment, imagine the giraffe asking the strangest question: why is that tiny animal walking around down there? And why does it think it's in charge? Now forget everything you normally imagine about giraffes. Don't picture a human watching a giraffe. Picture the giraffe watching the human. Because from the giraffe's side, the human may be the strange creature in the scene. Welcome to Animal Mind Lab. We explore the hidden side of animal behavior, the world as it might be experienced from the animal's perspective. Subscribe to Animal Mind Lab, because sometimes changing the point of view changes the entire story. Now imagine that giraffe watching the human below. The human walks toward a tree. The giraffe is already standing beside it. The human looks around. The giraffe looks down. And in our imaginary story, the giraffe might have one very simple observation: you are very small. The human takes another step. The giraffe doesn't move and stops. The giraffe continues watching. Now imagine the giraffe looking at its own surroundings. The top of the trees is within reach. The human can't reach it. The giraffe can see across a much wider area from its elevated position. The human has to walk around an obstacle. The giraffe simply looks over it. Different bodies create different worlds. And that's where our story becomes interesting. Humans often judge animals by asking how closely they resemble us. Can they use tools? Can they solve puzzles? Can they communicate like us? But what if we reverse the question? What abilities would seem incredibly strange to a human if we experienced the world through a giraffe's body? Imagine seeing the landscape from several meters above the ground. Imagine being able to reach food growing high in trees without climbing. Imagine watching humans walking below while their entire world appears closer to the ground. In our fictional story, the giraffe watches a human struggle to reach a branch. The giraffe lowers its head, looks at the branch, looks at the human, and if giraffes could speak human language, perhaps our imaginary giraffe would say, "Why don't you just use your neck?" Of course, giraffes don't think in human sentences like that. This is storytelling. But the physical difference is completely real. A giraffe's body is extraordinarily specialized for its environment. Its long neck, long vision, feeding behavior, and movement all affect how it interacts with the world. Now imagine the human walks toward a fence. He opens a gate. The giraffe watches. The gate closes. The human opens another gate. The giraffe watches again. And in our imaginary giraffe's mind, humans seem obsessed with gates. They build them, they close them, they lock them. Then they make another one. Meanwhile, the giraffe simply walks toward another tree. From its perspective, the human world could look unnecessarily complicated. But then something changes. Another giraffe appears. The first giraffe turns its head. The two animals respond to one another through their own social signals and behavior. The human nearby may not understand everything happening between them, and this is important. The giraffe's world isn't simply about being tall. It's also about other giraffes, movement, distance, social relationships, food, surroundings, potential threats, and constant information. Now imagine the human returns the next day. Same path, same person. The giraffe notices. The human looks up. The giraffe looks down. And once again, our imagination starts running. Maybe the giraffe thinks, "Oh, it's the small one again." Maybe it wonders why humans keep returning to the same places. Maybe it notices the human's movements. Maybe it becomes familiar with the repeated routine. We cannot claim the giraffe literally thinks these sentences, but we can ask a scientifically useful question. Can animals learn from repeated experiences with their environment and the individuals within it? Absolutely. Animals can learn from experience, but the exact private experience inside a giraffe's mind is something we cannot simply read. And that mystery is much more interesting than pretending we know. Now imagine the human standing underneath the giraffe. He looks up. The giraffe looks down. For once, the human realizes something. He came expecting to observe an animal, but the animal has its own world, its own body, its own senses, its own social life, its own way of responding to what happens around it. And perhaps the most entertaining part of our imaginary story is this: the human thinks, "That's an enormous animal," while the giraffe might be looking down thinking, "That's an unusually short one." Again, that's imagination, but it gives us a completely different way to think about animal minds. We don't have to pretend giraffes secretly want to own humans. We don't have to give them human dialogue. We simply have to reverse the camera. Instead of asking, "What do I think about this giraffe?" ask, What might this giraffe notice about me? My height, my movement, my distance, my repeated behavior, the strange objects I carry, the sounds I make, the way I approach, the way I leave. Suddenly, the human isn't the center of the story anymore. The animal is. And that is the point. Because every species experiences the same physical world through a different body, different senses, different needs, and different experiences. So the next time you stand near a giraffe and it looks down at you, don't immediately imagine that it sees the world the way you do. Maybe the better question is, what does this world look like from up there? And perhaps, just for fun, imagine the giraffe looking down at you one last time. You walk away. It watches. You disappear. The giraffe turns back toward the trees, and somewhere in our imaginary story, one thought remains. Humans are very strange animals. This is Animal Mind Lab. If you enjoyed seeing the world from the animal's perspective, subscribe, share the video, and stay with us. Because once you stop making animals' character in a human story, you start wondering what the story looks like from their side.